What's something everyone should experience in their life? Getting a hug from someone who has been waiting all day to see you. Paul Dini is probably most famous for creating the Batman animated series. The series is known for being very dark for a kid's cartoon. Apparently he was walking home from some party and was assaulted by two thugs. He was beaten severely and had to drive himself to the hospital. He was successful at the time and had money and women. He said in that moment, all he wanted was to come home and have someone waiting for him, just to have someone say, my God, what happened to you? The event is what helped inspire him to write Batman. If I'm remembering correctly, having flings is lots of fun, but having someone to come home to is so much better. Financial security. I've never had it, and that simple fact has caused me more stress and anxiety than I care to admit. I do believe that though money can't bring happiness when you don't have it, it can absolutely hinder it greatly. Failure, and the maturity to accept and learn from it. Living alone. Being truly by yourself for long periods of time can teach you invaluable things when becoming an adult. I've been with my fiancé now for about 4 years, living with them for about 2 years, and I tell ya, even though I love him and plan to spend the rest of my life living with him, I do sometimes miss living by myself. I had lived alone for about 5 years before moving in with my now partner, my place all to myself. Had to learn how to cook, clean, organize my space, budget my money, etc. adulting stuff. There's a certain novelty to living by yourself for an extended period of time that made it easier to move in with someone else, mainly because one of us actually knew what we were doing. Lol. Might sound depressing, but it's not meant to. Losing the fear of death. It wipes away all cares and lets you be free. The question is, how the heck do I get to that point? Been trying for years. I first came to realize that once I'm dead, I won't be able to feel sad, regret anything, or feel any physical or emotional pain. The worst parts about dying occur in the moments leading up to the moment, right before you actually die. I don't fear death itself, but I do fear the pain that may occur under some circumstances in which I could die. I don't really fear the idea of dying in circumstances like a car crash, because in those cases a death seems relatively instant. In the case of something like terminal cancer, I think I would probably just accept that my time is up and try to end things on my own terms as peacefully as possible, rather than painfully succumb to a disease. Everyone should experience doing something significant for someone who cannot possibly benefit them in return, and doing so for no credit, recognition or return. I don't believe one should act and not derive some self-satisfaction. One ought feel good internally about being a good human. You haven't failed if you helped a person or animal and felt satisfied. There are myriad quotations that begin/contain the measure of man and address his idea in some form. Anyway, do something nice because you can. In my opinion, all people should try having a fast food or retail labor. If you've never experienced it or anything like it, your eyes are bound to be opened to it by the experience. At least, I would never have understood bad jobs for bad wages. Live your life on your own terms. It seems simple, but can be really hard depending on one's circumstances. The unconditional love of a dog or cat that you've rescued. I love my dog, but I'm pretty sure he's easily swayed based upon who has snacks and is willing to share. Studying abroad in college or some other way to briefly live in a different country and experience a different culture. I truly believe this would help lessen racism, discrimination. Doing pest control in the city for 1 to 6 months, not to understand the complex life, evolution and behaviors of organism and the environmental stimulations, which is invaluable on its own, but to witness the diversity of the human condition. Never had I been so humbled by people that live like kings and in squalor. Some wealthy are in a bubble, others are deep in care. The poor you end up seeing live with either what they got, dealt with, or the consequences of their choices, or others, but more than that you see that life can never be black and white for you ever again. Some people live with a terrible hand. Some are absolutely crazy. Some are doing great despite living in a rough area. You'll learn you can't save everybody, but a small act of kindness can be so impactful. You'll develop thick skin as some will want more out of you that you really can't stretch. Most of all, you'll understand that children are the true victims of this world, and that being some hero isn't always the answer. Sometimes the answer is to just be better or patient to people along your path, because you have no idea what their yesterday or yesterdays were like. Maybe they were evil, maybe they were a victim, maybe they are victorious and amazing. You will see and meet so many that it will not doubt change you. Not to mention you'll also be more selective when it comes to restaurants. A healthy non-toxic relationship. Experiencing my first currently. I had no idea it could be like this. Same. I'm so in love with this human. He treats me with respect, makes me feel so funny and gorgeous. Seen and heard. The way he holds me. It's like our bodies were made to fit so perfectly together. Not just in an intimate way. I mean that usually with people I can't snuggle too much because I get uncomfy. Or there's one position we can snuggle in. Not this amazing human. He and I fit side by side. The way our hands feel together, the way our histories have so many similarities. Yet we are still comfortable in our own lives and are not codependent. We always have a great time together. We just talk and cuddle and have great intimate times and make each other laugh constantly. I spent over a decade with the wrong kinds of people who treated me very poorly. People who made me anxious and afraid. I didn't know it could feel this way. I didn't know I could feel this much like a person is home. Live music. There's nothing like seeing your favorite bands perform with large crowds singing along with all of their music. Peace and quiet of nature. Driving out to the wilderness and being able to sit and think deeply without the noises of traffic and city life helps you relax and get away from your busy life. I recommend at least once a month. Plus the views of the night ski is breathtaking. The Grand Canyon. It's the first time in my life I realized just how small I'm to this world. It's beautiful and frightening at the same time. This is the one attraction that definitely is not overrated. Pictures of it look spectacular, but they still don't come close to how amazing this looks in real life. Hiking down the canyon is one of my favorite ever experiences in my life. Just make sure you have plenty of water with you and keep in mind that the hike back up is a lot harder than the downhill had been. Also be prepared for quick changes in the weather. I started in bright sunshine and 2 hours and there was a massive rainstorm, followed by blue skies again. Playing with your good friends as kids without a care in the world, like where your worst fear is scraping your knee or some other small things. And playing something simple like play fight or hopscotch or tag, or clapping games, or whatever childhood games that almost make you miss being a kid. That's my honest answer. The confidence and joy of being happy alone. This might be a forever thing or a thing you experience prior to dating, getting married, etc. But I think everyone should experience it. It's good for the heart and brain. Being homeless and having to fight to get back on their feet. That stuff humbles you. Moving across the country, even just for a year, I fall into the category of the pandemic lighting a fire under myself to do something. I'm 26 now, moved here 5 months ago, never left my hometown, even went to community college in my hometown. With no support network in a 1600-mile radius, it's basically only up to you to survive. It's not super glorious, but man, I've grown more in these few months than at any other time in my 20s. In fact, I've been so poor from renting a whole house that it's forced me to quit drinking and smoking weed. So I'm like more or less always sober. Big ups. But I'm ultimately gonna move back to the home front for sure. I have a great family and I wanna move back for them. The stars. Seriously, I know people who've lived in the city all their lives and it never really sank in for them that the night sky out in the countryside is literally full of stars. In the city with all the light pollution you can only see maybe 2 stars a night if that. But a month or so ago a long-time online friend of mine came to visit me in person and said he's never actually seen the stars. It was a clear night, so we got in my car and traveled about 10 minutes out of town and looked up. He was gobsmacked and would just stare up at them as if in a trance. It has that effect on people. To people hearing this who've lived all their lives in the city, do this. Head out to the countryside sometime and go out of town in the dead of night when it's clear and cloudless and look up. Okay, not everyone can or should run a marathon. but everyone should set a physical goal that is roughly equivalent to a marathon in terms of the relative physical challenge and the sustained training required to complete it, because the feeling of, first, just showing up at the starting line, and second, actually crossing the finish line, that's something everyone should experience. It's one of the most satisfying moments of my life. I've told my sons about it many times. I want them to feel that feeling as much as they can. That immense sense of satisfaction and pride of accomplishment. It's simply one of the best items on the menu of human experience. I wish it for everyone.